Welcome to Issues Today on Xpbtv Africa. I am Kenneth Nzemeke. Joining me in the studio is a legal practitioner, Donald Onyemachi Undoka. You are welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Child abuse has been a hot topic in our society. You hear cases of underage maids, torture of children by relatives who are supposed to be their guardian. And you also hear cases of children being sent to hawk to make money for the family when they're supposed to be in school. Today, we are going to be asking our legal practitioner his opinion about child abuse. Firstly, sir, in your own opinion, how will you define child abuse?
Child abuse is a menace that has greatly affected our society today. Child abuse is an act that is inimical. It is detrimental to the health, the well-being, the welfare of a child. And some of these abuse we are saying today are being, I would say, are being effected on this child by people that have responsibility on the child. Either the parents, the teacher, the caregiver, or anyone that has, I would say,
responsibility
in local parents that have to take custody of the child, care of the child, for the welfare and the well-being of the child.
Like in some cases where some children have been sexually harassed by security guards of a school.
Yes. And some of the forms of this child abuse we have forms of physical abuse. A child can be physically abused by either the parents, the teachers in school, or even the relatives, the uncles and the rest, and even the aunties. And also, there are other forms of child abuse, which is sexual abuse, where a child is being sexually abused or molested by people who ordinarily should take good care of the child.
That should protect the child from outsiders.
Thank you, yes. And also, another form of this child abuse is, I would say, psychological and emotional abuse. Emotional abuse in the sense that a child that is supposed to be a child, moral value should be inculcated in a child. You imbibe a child the virtue of love, hope, patience, and the rest.
Yeah.
But when some of these child are being, you tend to feel the child to feel he is not involved. You maybe probably you call the child a lot of names, which at the end of the day makes the child to lose his self-esteem.
Oh.
Lose his self-esteem, and probably he becomes he now gets somehow estranged from his friends, from his colleagues in class. Instead of being involved, some of these things are as a result of being abused by people who are supposed to take good care of the child. And another form of this child abuse, I would say, is societal neglect and family neglect. Family neglect in the sense that a father has a moral obligation to provide for a child. And when some of these things are not provided for them, in the sense of they are supposed to provide food for the child, they are supposed to provide education for the child. So when some of these things are not provided for the child, that is totally an abuse of the child.
So negligence can be a form of abuse.
Yes, neglect of the child. Neglect in the sense that fathers abdicating their parental responsibilities. Is the responsibility of a father to provide the welfare of the child, enrolling the child to a school. Make sure that the child is the values in the society, you inculcate it and imbibe in this child, so that when he grows up tomorrow, the Bible says, train up a child in the way that he should go, and when he grows, that he will not depart from it.
Yes. Thank you very much. We see that the issue of child abuse runs deep. What are some of the factors surrounding child abuse?
I think in our own climate today, in Nigeria particularly, I think some of the factors that I would say factor that necessitate child abuse is most of them are in respect of neglect. Is the underlying cause, which I think is poverty.
Okay.
A situation where if a father, a parents who can who are probably they don't have a good means of livelihood to cater for the child, and you see most of them probably they have 4 or 5 kids, and these kids are in successions. We have the 2, 3 just like that. And at the end of the day, these children will not be adequately catered for.
The burden will be on the parents.
Yes, they are not adequately catered for, and either the children are now in the sense of providing for the family
Instead of the other way around.
Yes, instead of the children now resort to begging for alms in the public, begging for food and the rest, and these factors, this factor would definitely have a psychological effect or a traumatic effect on such a child.
Okay.
Yes.
Nice insight, sir.
Mm.
So, what are the consequences of being abused? That is on the victim and the society at large.
Now, I would say on the part of the victims, which in this scenario is a child, I would say the child tends to be aloof, or he loses sense of belonging to the society. Because, for instance, a child that is being sexually abused may not have the if for instance now he goes to school and the teacher is probably his uncle at home has been abusing him repeatedly. So this child goes to school and the teacher now in class is a male. You see the students being that secluding himself. He will lose that sense of trying to express his view, because of fear that has been over time instilled in him as a result of the abuse from his uncle at home. So the child tends to lose that feeling of self-esteem. Either he starts living in fear, he becomes timid, he is not able to express himself eloquently because of the abuse that has become over time. Mm-hmm. That's
okay. And can you actually associate criminal behavior to
yes.
Child abuse?
Yes, but definitely, because most of these child where the parents are not able to provide or cater for the need, the children at the end of the day, they become either hawkers in the streets. They start begging. And you see that some of these children, in the course of begging for alms and begging for food, they may run into hoodlums, either criminals and the rest. And these criminals, because of the need, or because of this consciousness, because I'm going to provide money for mommy at home,
they'll be able to entice them.
Yes, so they are easy. They are easy victims. They are praise for some of these bad boys in the streets. And they could say, okay, John, come. Maybe John is hawking a pure water for his mother.
Yes.
I say, John, what I will do is you go that place, you go to that man, steal that from him. You see. So because of that innocence in the child and the fear of the assailant now, so he may carry out such an act. And also most of them now becomes they may become drug addicts. They may become drug addicts because they are exposed to some of these things. Probably John wants to sell pure water to someone in the streets, and the man say, John, okay, go and buy me cigarettes from there. Go and buy me cigarettes from that Mama Konya shop. I'll dash you change. So in going to buy the cigarettes, John said, what's this? Let me even put it in my mouth. So he tests out, you see, let me try it out. So from there, the child tends to become a drug addict because of exposure to things ordinarily he should not be exposed to at a very tender age. And that's
all right. So are there laws enshrined in our constitution to protect children from being abused?
Yes, I would say they are they are laws, both international laws and local laws that have been domesticated by some of the states in Nigeria. In Nigeria particularly, there is the Child Rights Act, which was enacted by Nigerian government in 2003. And the Child Rights Act mandates the states to domesticate some of these laws. The 36 states are supposed to domesticate these laws so that the laws will be enforceable in their various states. And thankfully, our own state, Delta State, have domesticated laws in 2008. So we have the Child Rights Law of Delta States, which provide for the right of a child, the basic rights which a child is entitled to as of rights. These rights, when we call rights, these rights are not privileges. These are rights that if you deprive a child of these rights, they are criminal offenses for deprivation of these rights to some of this child. And the Child Rights Law, and regrettably, I will say this, that even most of the states, I think there are 28 states today, as of today, that have domesticated the Child Rights Law.
What are the other states waiting for then?
That is, and some of the states that are even yet to domesticate some of these laws are some of the northern states, where this child abuse is even more prevalent. That's it. And the Child Rights Act, I will not call it a dead letter law, which means, a law that's not effective, which is only on paper, but it's not effective in implementation, because they are moves, they are a lot of, I would say, moves by the states, most of the states, particularly the Ministry of Women Affairs, to implement some of these laws.
Okay.
Yeah.
But don't you think the reason why some states have not yet domesticated this law is because there is contradiction between the law and our culture?
Yes. I think you have you've made a great point there. If you look at some sections, a section in the Child Rights Act, one of the sections said that a child must be 18 years old before he can consent, which we call the consenting age. He can contract a marriage. That he must be 18 years yes, before the child can contract a marriage, which the law calls the consenting age.
All right.
But however, if the Marriage Act, which is the law that regulates marriage, the Marriage Act stipulates that some of these that a child can enter into a marriage even when he's below 18 with the consent of the parents. Okay. You can see that there's a contradiction. There's a little contradiction between the Marriage Act and the Child Rights Act. So what the Marriage Act is saying that if the parents consent, even when the child is below the consenting age approved by the Child Rights Act, that if the parents consent, that the child can contract a marriage with even an adult. You understand? So, and most of the states, most of the cultures over there, or I don't know if the Sharia laws of the rest, are some of the things that allows underage marriage.
Because
some
I've heard cases of children as young as 12 years.
Yes, being married to adults who are even old enough to be their grandpas and yes.
Sad one. Okay, can you tell us some of the agencies being put in place by government to checkmate child abuse to monitor abusers and bring them to book?
Yes. Principally, the child rights law in each session stipulates that in order to implement the child rights law, that the states are mandated to have what they call implementation committees. These implementation committees are supposed to see to it that the rights, the sections of the child rights law are enforced by each state. And even Delta State itself, I think, thankfully, I think they have an implementation committee, which is a committee in the Ministry of Women Affairs in Asaba.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for that. What advice do you have for victims of child abuse and for those that are engaged in abusing children?
I think we'll look at it from the perspective that the child itself the child himself or herself that has been abused should be there should be, first of all, I think family should be your family. The nuclear family should be a place of succor, or something like a place of refuge for a child. So first of all, if a child is well loved, taken care of, he's been his needs, his psychological needs, his basic needs are being provided for, they may not be an abuse in the first place. So most of these charges, when some of these abuses occur, they are not able, either because of the fear of the assailant or the fear of the people that are abusing, they are not able to come out and express themselves to either their parents or someone they should confide in. You understand? Yes. So I feel, first of all, that the parents who are closer to their children should first of all be able to. They should be able to when you see that your child is that means what I will put is exhibiting some strange behavior in the house. Either he's getting reckless to himself, he's not associating with his peers. So you should be able to talk to them, and also try to give them this air of confidence. Give your child some air of confidence. Junior should be able to express himself in the house. Junior should be able to talk in the house. Yeah. So it starts from there, such that when the assailant or the abusers come, Junior will be bold enough to tell his mother that, Mom, Uncle at school is abusing me. I don't like the way he's touching my private part. I don't like what he or she is doing. So you give them that air of confidence such that your child are able to express, that he or she is able to express himself confidently before you.
It's been an educative and exciting edition of Issues Today on Xpbtv Africa. For those being involved in abuse, please, you need to stop. Give your children protection. Let them be confident around you so that any issues or problem that is happening around them, they can relate to you. Do not put your children off or make them to be afraid of you. Thank you very much, Barrister.
Thank you for having me.
I'm Kenneth Nzemeke. Please do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us across all social media platforms. Thank you. Audio